Thanks for joining us today. I'm glad to see you. Come on with us. In Ephesians chapter 5, Ephesians 5 at verse 11, it says, "Have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them." Verse 13, it says, "All things that are exposed are made manifest by the light, for whatever makes manifest is light." One of the ways that the Lord's church is different than pretty much all the other religious groups out there today is that we do not, or at least we should not, tolerate sin. We expose sin. As children of light, we manifest, we make manifest, we bring it out into the light so that people can see just how shameful it is. We do not, frankly, the reason we do this is because we don't want people to die in their sins. So how does this work, this exposing of sin? Well, in Matthew chapter 18 at verse 15, it says, "Moreover, if your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he hears you, you have gained your brother." And of course, that's the goal. But there's a few hiccups that people have with this. One is, he says, if your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. A lot of times folks will think, well, it's not my job. It's the preacher's job. It's the elder's job. Or they just frankly won't do it regardless. They just won't do it. They'll think that it's dirty. They think it's nasty. They think that it's making waves, and they just don't do it. They are not the light then. And we'll talk more about what they are here in a moment. But the Lord gave the command, and He expects us to obey the command. But another problem people have is they kind of try to pull a switcheroo, and when they're on the receiving end of a rebuke, they'll say, well, you did not rebuke me in the right kind of spirit. You were mean to me when you rebuked me, and they'll turn it around on you. It's an old tactic. It shows more about their own heart than anything else. Also, before we move on, we're dealing with private sin here. If the sin is already public, if everybody knows about it, the church just needs to deal with it. 1 Corinthians chapter 5, that immoral fella, is a reference for that. Now, if the man doesn't hear you, though, back to the Matthew 18 passage, at verse 16 it says, "If he will not hear, take with you one or two more, that by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established." We are exposing sin. We are shining the light. We are getting to the truth. There are two sides to every coin. But if you don't know what's on the other side of the coin, you don't know if it's real or counterfeit, frankly. And so what you have to do is you have to get both sides, and the problem is people want to keep secrets. Now, I'm not saying that we should not be discreet. I think this verse, frankly, one of the points you can make is about discretion. But we're trying to get to the truth of the matter. We are exposing sin, and we should not keep sin secret, is what we should not do. But that's frankly the problem. A lot of people, they will stop. They either will not go privately, or they will stop after they take 1 or 2 witnesses. Well, the verse doesn't stop. We have to move on. Verse 17, it says, "And if he refuses to hear them," the witnesses, "tell it to the church. But if he refuses even to hear the church, let him be to you like a heathen and a tax collector." You have to make it public. It needs to be public so that people can see how horrible the sin is. That verse, 16, is a quotation from Deuteronomy. Go back and read where that quote is from. Is it hard to do? Absolutely, it's hard to do. But if we do not expose sin, then we are an accomplice to sin. It needs to be drug out to the light. Hope you enjoyed this study. God bless you. Be a blessing to others. Hope to see you Monday morning.